Hey yo, what's good? It's your boy Mixtape Moth, and today I'm gonna hit y'all with a review of the new Boldy James and Alchemist record entitled Super Tecmo Bo. Let's get to it. So this is the brand new project from the ever consistent duo of Boldy James and the Alchemist, who have a history of dropping strong collaborative projects dating back to 2013. Last year, the two released their praiseworthy The Price of Tea in China, and earlier in 2021, they had dropped Bo Jackson, which was also well received. So they snuck in a new one on us right at the end of the year. This new album, Super Tecmo Bo, is the follow-up to Bo Jackson, which dropped in August. It contains just 9 tracks and clocks in at around the 26-minute mark. But with that being said, we'll go ahead and just hit y'all with this track-by-track breakdown. The opening track is Level Tipping Scales. The instrumental is spacey and atmospheric with some smooth synths, guitar, and an alluring keyboard. On this record, Boldy gives us some picturesque drug talk. It's something that comes across as very believable and authentic for the listener. He talks about how he could never be Big Meech because he's in love with tipping scales. So essentially, he's so in love with the hands-on, day-to-day grind aspect of drug dealing that he wouldn't want to be a distro or someone who's further removed from the product. He must really like the trenches, being over the stove and weighing shit out. As a whole, it's a dope opener where Boldy speaks on his certified street credentials. It's just one verse, it's pretty intricate, and the production is polished and smooth. Track 2, No Laughing Matter, has a bright and attractive sample with some swirling strings incorporated on the hook. It has more of a cheerful and upbeat presence than the other instrumentals by far. However, Boldy's subject matter is anything but jolly and cheerful. He reminds folks that he isn't a comedian. Much like Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, there's even the classic but overused funny house skit from Goodfellas at the end. While I like this record sonically, I do wish Boldy could have given us 2 verses, or perhaps there could have been a feature, as the track felt a little short. What follows is Hot Water Tank featuring Ice Cold Bishop, an artist who I'm not familiar with, but based on his accent and rapping cadence, I'm assuming he's from Detroit. This contains a nocturnal beat that's a little bouncier. The drums are punchy, and there's a prominent whistling effect, which was pretty dope. Ice Cold Bishop sets it off with a lively verse, but clearly Boldy James had the stronger one. Boldy paints a portrait of everyday street activities, whether it's drugs, fiends, or killings. All of it is really detailed. Boldy states, "Trap hard or go home," had to use his shoebox for a bank. Fiend on the way to the scrapyard, he just stole another hot water tank. So you can envision fiends taking everything that isn't locked down, kind of like a scene from The Wire. But I thought this was a cool track, as I liked Boldy's verse and the nighttime quality to the production. Things mellow out on the following Bumps and Bruises, which is set to a jazzy saxophone beat. It's very elegant and the drums are stand out. On this record, Boldy raps from the perspective of someone who has seen it all before. He talks about how his uncle schooled him to the ways of the drug game early on, and how Boldy ended up getting his cousin and nephew involved as well. But despite all the bumps and bruises, there hasn't been any blemishes on his street record, and I dug the following lines. Risk versus reward don't equal the reward versus the risk. Wrap it up in aluminum foil like a Hershey's Kiss. Don't be scared to be the last to shoot. Just don't be the first to miss. Pretty deep and insightful. Then there's a storytelling record, Great Adventures, which was likely inspired by the classic album, The Great Adventures of Slick Rick, I'm guessing. This is built around a silky smooth synth beat with minimal percussion. It's a subtle instrumental that really makes you pay attention to Boldy's words. A line that stood out was, "Last pill that I took went on a bad trip, but the man from my dark past will leave you in the past tense." All in all, it's a solid storytelling track with what is my least favorite beat on the album, but it wasn't bad. Afterwards is the standout track, Moth in the Flame, which has a darker and more aggressive instrumental. The suspenseful strings give it a symphonic feel. Boldy has some chilling gangland lyrics like, You know something is wrong if you see me in the middle of July, broad day in a hoodie, and hard as cold like 32 below, blow a couple hundred rounds at a dude's funeral. I just like the eerie and theatrical production as well as Boldy's sharp pen. This transitions smoothly into 300 Fences, which has some more descriptive storytelling over an anxiety building beat. There's a crime caper slash on the run feel to this record, and it just really demonstrates how underrated Boldy actually is at storytelling and painting a picture. Overall, it has great dramatic production and vivid movie-like bars from Boldy. The second to last track is Gilt. This has a somber string loop that's also a bit cinematic with a slight melancholy. This finds Boldy hitting us with more intense reflections on street life. There are 2 solid verses, and part of the song focuses on exposing a weak link who wasn't built for that life. Then the album wraps up with the standout Francois. It's a gritty criminology record backed by an eerie and ghostly sample. He dedicates the track to all the hoodlums and those who survived by living illegally. I think the hook is pretty strong as it does give off that mid-90s Mobb Deep / Capone Noriega vibe. He also talks about how he's unable to relate to a lot of rappers, especially with the lines, "Some dudes fake it till they made it. I just can't relate. Look at his piece before the rap. The dude chain was fake." In addition, Boldy questions the logic of praising people who go to jail. Rather, he feels we should look up to the ones who got away and live to tell about it. Overall, I give this album a rating of 4 mics. I feel it's a strong and worthy follow-up to Bo Jackson and a great way for the two to close out their successful year. Now, I know Boldy isn't on the same level or as highly esteemed as the late great Prodigy, but he has proven to be the right person for Alchemist to be working with in the modern day, and their chemistry has been intact ever since the 2013 project. I'm not saying that Super Tecmo Bo is a classic, and I actually like Bo Jackson a little bit more, but it is their 4th really good project as a duo, so I feel it's only right to acknowledge the 4-project run that Boldy and the Alchemist have been on. That being said, I understand that Boldy's drowsy delivery is going to be an acquired taste for some, but it is hard to deny the consistency and the chemistry that they have displayed on each album together. They really have no misses. My favorite tracks include Level Tipping Scales, No Laughing Matter, Bumps and Bruises, Moth and the Flame, 300 Fences, and Francois. Let me know what you thought about this album in the comment section below. It's your boy Mixtape Moth. I'm signing out, but be sure to hit that like button and please subscribe. As always, it's peace and blessings. Boldy James, the Alchemist, Super Tecmo Bo 1.